common sense, and I think that resonates with practically everybody, is that whatever you do, when you do it, you should be ready to do it. Have I got it right? And so the definition becomes then, what does ready mean? So again, are you saying that ready is a better definition than a hardwired number or something?
Yeah. That period of several years in the interim gives us time to do the necessary ed specs to determine exactly what it would take to not only maintain the programs we have now, but do better programs. Let's don't settle for what we got. Let's go for something better.
To me, what's really key is the identity both for the students and for the staff and those distinct school cultures that are really important. So I really appreciate what you're saying, Rich, that especially based on your middle school experience about really having an identity for both of those schools. I think it's important.
And I thought I heard common agreement here. That philosophically, that is one of the things that's going to that we all are in agreement. Forget about the bond for a moment. It's about the program. Assuming that we've maintained that culture that we were talking about, that identity, and we move, that it's really comfortable and we do it the right way. If that becomes the decision here, it has to be done. That we keep, and I'll keep going back to the middle school culture. To me, is integral to all of this. If we can't maintain that cougar, then we've lost. We really lost more than we gained. Forget about the money. It's personally my opinion.
We need kind of a clear target for what we're trying to do, and kind of where I'm getting, in my own personal thinking, is we need a clear target of where we're trying to get to. We also need some kind of driving force to keep an eye on the ball and get there, so we set some date out there by which we're going to try and make it. But what's the definition of make it? Well, I think the definition of make it ought to be, we'll do it this year if it'll now work. If we've done the stuff to take that, if we've done the job that it'll take to make the program still work, and so on. And so, backing off from that is we need a definition of what it'll take to make it work, and that can only be defined by the people doing the ed specs.
Here's the 2011 is, I wouldn't even think about that because it's just way too tight. We can't get our staffs together. And we're assuming that a bond is coming through, or there is some way that we're going to maintain that identity, that middle school identity.
But that has to be qualified by pretty good agreement on what ready is. A date isn't any good unless we're saying that is the date at which we can actually make this move and not destroy the programs. We make a motion, and we want to get to that configuration as soon as possible, and we are saying that we want you to try and do it by this date, but the requirement is that at that date we want you to tell us whether the programs can actually work. If not, then we're going to have to reset that date. I want to be real rigid about getting this thing started. I don't want to be absolutely rigid in terms of when it's going to actually work, because I don't know enough to know when it's going to work, and I don't think anybody here does, but I think the people here know how to find that out. So basically the charge would be by 3 years from now, have us in 2 buildings. Specifically, an objective is close the middle school so we can start saving that money. But we need to see that it will really work, that the programs will function, and that we have taken the steps necessary to accommodate all the sticking points and things like that. I kind of doubt we could do it by 2012. I'd be willing to say 2012 as long as the additional requirement was if it works.
That's a given. We can't do it unless it works. So
yeah, but I want if it works to mean that we have taken the necessary steps to make sure the programs can function well. And
I don't think any of us us would
I think that's
expect less.
implicit.
Huh?
I think that's implicit.
Right.
Okay, let's make it explicit.